Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hospital Tales Worldwide. These real-life inspired stories are a tribute to human resilience and miracles inside hospital walls. Let's keep these voices alive, and let's begin today's story. Jeniffer was only 12 when her world changed forever. A happy, playful girl with bright blonde hair, her days were filled with bike rides, school friends, and singing in front of the mirror. But one morning, she collapsed at school. Within hours, she was rushed into the ICU. Doctors found an aggressive tumor on her kidney. The cancer had spread. Treatment began immediately. Chemotherapy, transfusions, and endless tests became her new normal. Julie, her mother, never left her side, holding her hand through every needle. Weeks passed. Jeniffer's condition worsened. Her small body began to fail. The doctors, once hopeful, now spoke in whispers. They tried everything, but hope was thinning. One night, Paul and Julie were asked into a private room. The doctor spoke gently, his eyes heavy. "You need to prepare yourselves. She might not make it through the night." Julie broke down. Paul stood frozen. That night, they sat beside Jeniffer, whispering goodbyes between tears. Outside, the funeral arrangements were already beginning. A tiny white coffin was selected, flowers ordered. Julie's hands trembled as she signed the papers, her soul numb. The world around her had crumbled. But inside Jeniffer's room, something inexplicable was happening. Her heart was slowing, but not stopping. Her breathing shallowed, then stabilized. The nurses watched, stunned. She was holding on. Julie had spent the night awake, praying, clutching her daughter's arm. In the morning, a doctor approached with surprise. "She's still here. We don't understand how." Julie whispered, "Maybe there's still a way." Tests were done again. The cancer was still there, but there was one possible option left, a kidney transplant. But finding a match would take months, time Jeniffer didn't have. That's when Julie made the decision. She begged them, "Test me, now." Hours later, the results came back. Julie was a perfect match. Tears streamed down her face as she said, "Take mine, don't waste time." Doctors hesitated. She insisted. It was her daughter's only chance. The surgery was set for the next day. Jeniffer lay unconscious, unaware that her mother had just given her the greatest gift, life. Paul stood between the two beds, watching both women he loved more than life itself being prepped for surgery. If this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe to Hospital Tales Worldwide. These stories remind us that even in the darkest moments, miracles can happen. Your support helps keep these stories alive. The morning of the transplant was quiet. The sky outside the hospital was gray, as if holding its breath. Inside, Julie was being prepared. IVs in her arms, monitors on her chest. She stared at the ceiling, whispering her daughter's name like a prayer. "Jeniffer, hold on." Across the hall, Jeniffer was unconscious, her tiny body frail. Paul moved between the rooms, placing a kiss on his wife's forehead, then kneeling beside his daughter. He didn't cry. He couldn't. His soul was suspended in fear. The medical team gathered. 2 surgeries, 2 lives, 1 chance. The lead surgeon nodded. "Let's begin." Julie was wheeled into the operating room. As anesthesia took her under, the last thing she saw was a photo taped to the light. Jeniffer smiling. Paul sat alone in the waiting room. Hours passed. Nurses came and went. Every time the door opened, he looked up, hoping for news. His hands trembled as he held Jeniffer's teddy bear. He hadn't slept in days. Julie's surgery ended first. The kidney had been removed successfully, but the risk was far from over. Now came the hardest part, placing it in Jeniffer's failing body and hoping her small system would accept it. Jeniffer's body was so weak, so fragile, that the surgical team hesitated. Her blood pressure was dropping. One doctor muttered, "We might be too late." But the lead surgeon ordered, "Proceed." And they began. Paul paced in the hallway, unable to sit. His world was split between two doors, one hiding his unconscious wife, the other his dying daughter. Every second felt like a lifetime. After hours, the door finally opened. A doctor approached him slowly. She made it through, both of them did. Paul broke down for the first time, collapsing into the nearest chair. Relief and disbelief flooded his chest. Jeniffer was placed in recovery, monitored closely. She remained unconscious. The transplant was complete, but would her body accept it? Paul sat beside her, whispering stories into her ear. Memories, promises, love. Days passed. Julie was recovering well, but Jeniffer had yet to wake up. Her vitals were stable but silent. Every morning, Julie, weak but determined, was wheeled into her daughter's room, sitting beside her bed with quiet hope. And then, on the seventh morning, something happened. Jeniffer's fingers twitched. The nurse called out. Monitors beeped faster. Julie leaned forward. A faint whisper emerged from the girl's lips. "Mama." Julie wept uncontrollably. Paul rushed in and fell to his knees. Jeniffer's eyes opened, dazed but alive. She looked at them both and said, "Did I die?" Julie nodded through tears. "Almost, but you came back." Jeniffer turned her head slowly. "It was dark, and then I heard your voice, Mummy." Julie held her tightly, sobbing. She had come back, not by science alone, but through the unmeasurable force of a mother's love. Jeniffer's recovery was slow but steady. Each day brought a small step forward, a longer breath, a small sip of water, a soft smile. Nurses who once prepared for her last rites now cheered when she opened her eyes or lifted her hand. Julie, still healing from her own surgery, insisted on being wheeled into Jeniffer's room daily. Their hands always touched, Julie's stronger one gripping her daughter's fragile fingers. It was a silent connection that said, "I gave you part of me. Live with it." Paul brought in Jeniffer's favorite songs and books. He'd sit beside her reading aloud. At times, she would drift off. Other times, she would smile. Her body was mending, but so was her spirit, stitched together by love. After weeks, Jeniffer was moved out of ICU. The hallways, once filled with panic and alarms, now echoed with laughter, hers. Nurses decorated her room with drawings and balloons. She had become the miracle of the ward. Doctors admitted they didn't expect her to survive. "You were planning her funeral," one said to Julie. "Now she's walking." Julie nodded, holding back tears. She never stopped fighting, and neither did we. When Jeniffer took her first steps again, the entire ward watched. She was thin, unsteady, but alive. She whispered, "I feel like I'm learning to live again." A nurse replied, "You are, sweetheart, you are." Outside, the white coffin was never used. Paul had it picked up and burned. She didn't need it, he told the funeral home. She chose life instead. The ashes were scattered by a river, carried away like a shadow that never returned. Months later, Jeniffer returned home. Her room was still the same, untouched since the diagnosis. She looked around, picked up her favorite doll, and whispered, "I'm still me." And the house breathed again. Julie's scar remained, a thin line across her side. She often touched it when watching Jeniffer play. "It's not a wound," she told Paul one night. "It's the mark of motherhood." He simply nodded, eyes full of awe. Jeniffer began writing in a journal. "I want to remember how close I came," she said, "so I never forget how lucky I am." Page after page, she poured her heart, turning her pain into poetry, her fear into gratitude. They returned to the hospital 6 months later, this time to bring gifts. Teddy bears, letters, small tokens of hope for children still fighting. Jeniffer handed them out with a smile, saying, "You're stronger than you know." One nurse whispered to another, "We were preparing her death certificate. Now look at her." And as Jeniffer hugged that nurse, she said, "I came back because someone refused to let me go." In the years to come, Jennifer would grow into a teenager full of dreams. She wanted to be a nurse or a poet, or maybe both. But one thing was certain: she was a miracle walking, and she never forgot it. Her story was shared in newspapers, then on television, but the most important audience she had was herself. Every night, she read the journal that began in the darkest moment, and every page reminded her, "I'm here. I'm alive." If Jennifer's story touched your heart, help us keep these real-life inspired miracles alive. Like this video, subscribe to Hospital Tales Worldwide, and share this with someone who needs to believe that even when all hope is lost, life can still return.